What's going on, guys? It's Music Player 1979, aka Curtis Boatman, coming from West Texas today. It's a beautiful July 9th, 2015. I want to thank you for patiently waiting for another video, as I know it's taken me quite some time. As the system works closer to us, I only want to spend more and more time with the people that are special to me. And that is my son and my wife, and my mom and my dad, and my brother, and my sisters, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my neighbors, my animals, my life. This is why I continue to want to share with the world what I see, what I'm going through, my visions. Throughout the video, I'm going to show you the similarities with the system from December of last year into July of this year. The system itself is very beautiful, and it creates anomalies throughout our sky. I want you guys to remember, when you see these videos, that the system itself in a whole has a rotation. That is why we are able to see the system in the south at times, and then others in the northwest. We're going to start off with the December video that was taken in Snyder, Texas. Let's take a look. I've got several videos for the last couple months that I want to get to and show you guys. But first, I want to show you this, okay? You can see these objects as we pan back, all right, from the northeast back to the northwest. You can make them out. I mean, they're everywhere all throughout this. All right. But the prominent is the oxide, the fresh interaction. Okay, that is the interaction between the objects that are influencing each other through their movements. Okay. So as we pan back, you can see that there are several low-lying objects. Very low now. This was in December. Now this is our March video, and this was taken on the northwest side. You can see that the wings look the same as they did the previous month if you went and watched my video called Prey. That was done on the southwest side, seen in the evening, very beautiful colors. It's the same exact thing, okay? The only difference is the system has rotated 90 degrees. Okay, that's it. So instead of the wings pushing out towards the northwest and the northeast, they're pushing out towards the northeast and towards the southeast. Now you can see through this video how massively large these objects are now. They're very, very large, guys, and they are more defined within themselves. I show a vortexual pattern that I explained to you in the last video. It's important to know what this is because it gives you that idea when you're looking at it and you see this take place, you know what's going on then. So you have a large object that creates the debris path, okay, of thousands of things that follow it. Now, through that debris path are objects sometimes of that width value, okay, the size of the path itself. And they sit within this vortexual pattern as they travel past the larger object or behind it, with it. They trail with it. Okay. Now this in turn creates the life of the system. Once you have the smaller objects going over, all right, and past the larger one, it creates a funnel look. The perfect timing creates the horse, okay, and the horseman, and everything else. Now you'll notice as the chemtrail went by, it was perfect timing because within that vortex you can see the objects that are coming from the south almost through it off into the north. Now there are large objects here. You can see the stone feature that almost goes up at a 90 by the vortexual pattern I'm speaking about. Okay, and there are several objects, and it's causing that ripple effect through their movement because they are actually coming up, trailing us, slightly pulling just a little bit on us, and that's why we have displacements around the world, causing stress on the globe worldwide. We can see this through the animals, their movements, especially through Yellowstone. We have new volcanic activity just about everywhere across the globe. We've got record-breaking volcanism. We can see it through our storms. We have large methane releases that have been occurring for the last 5 years. We've had unprecedented animal die-offs, deer, fish, whales, birds, by significant numbers. As I said before, it gives life through its movements, okay? This would be the jaw of the human. Okay, this would be its nose, right here, his mouth, okay, and his chin. His cheek would be the planet, and his forehead would be, of course, the runoff and everything else. Okay, this is what I see. I see a child here. You can see how the colorations, everything plays here. And again, as we were talking about before, the bright white color, the blinding white. Okay, this is where it comes from. And now, guys, it's so powerful, it takes a bit to get out. Now, again, we have anomalies creating itself again because of the movement of this planet, all right, and the light that is following it. So it trades places. It starts to affect. Since the very beginning, I've seen this system as a movie. It seems there have always been characters seemingly in it, and this instance here to the left of the beautiful coloration, I see a man, almost a hillbilly, with a small hat. You can see make his face out, and again it composes life throughout this whole system all the time. It's always done that for me. I guess that's God's way of showing me what I need to share with you. It hasn't been all pleasant. One of the first times was on the east side. Looking high up in the sky, I saw what I believe to be the devil. As this cloud came out of the southwest into the northeast, it had a very dominant orange-red glow to it. I watched it go all the way to the northeast, turn all the way back around, and go back the other way within a 20-minute time. How nobody else saw this is beyond me. It draws itself perfectly. And I believe, again, this is where a lot of the stories from the Bible is derived from. June 10th, 2015. I captured this video about a week ago. I was facing the east side as the sun come above. It's about noontime, very, very beautiful. People around the world are drawing their cameras to the sky to record phenomenal things. The sheer amount of people that are seeing these is phenomenal. This capture was captured for about 4 minutes as it faded off into the northeast direction. Some may say that these reflections are only created because of the upper atmospheric ice particles reflecting off of what our governments are spraying around the world. I still believe that the chemtrail idea is meant to structure people's minds and letting them know that no sweat. It's a chemtrail. It's not what it looks like. It's not a large object creating the debris trail that people are seeing all around the world. Go back to sleep. But what people are starting to see are similarities in what they've seen before. Time and again. As the system moves closer, it's only going to be more difficult to spot things. The things that are happening around the world are becoming the norm. A large amount of volcanoes are now erupting. And there are ones that have been dormant for thousands and thousands of years that are erupting multiple times. There are a lot of other things structurally that are taking its punch from the system. One of those things is the electrical grid. Here in the United States, we are shifting power around to each state so we can conserve on the energy that we use. Some may say it's the population that's creating this overusage of electricity. Others, as myself, would say it's the system, because again, the electrical interactions that are created for what our technology does and what the system plays as well. There's a lot of distinctive patterns, guys. One of the strongest things to look for is the chem planes that create themselves as these beautiful anomalies happen. And again, this is to give your mind a easy transition from it's okay, it's just the chemicals. It's the common things that we are going to put together. It's the things that we see over and over for ourselves. The magnetic effect that is pushing on Earth has been creating destruction upon our Earth, guys, for a good 50 years. Again, this is untouched. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of coloration, take away the brightness, bring in the contrast just a bit, so you can see all the natural looking chemtrails, which these are not. These are system trails, okay, with objects that are creating them. And again, that is the chemtrail idea. They're doing a great job. But I'm going to manipulate the color. That way we can go ahead and see what is actually taking place in the shadowing, okay, behind the cloud itself. And again, the more and more that we manipulate the pictures, alright, and we draw the colors out, the more we can see it. And of course, the closer it gets, guys, more and more people will make these objects out. Okay. I like just the shadowy green part because you can really see this here. You can see all the darkness starting to create itself with the light from the sun. Okay. It's very beautiful here. Now, as we move on, you can see the movements that I've spoke about the last couple years are still here, very much dominant. Creates that wave each and every object because it pushes objects from it. So again, we're going to do the same thing with the color manipulation here. And we're going to pause a couple times because I really want to show you what I believe is taking place here. You can see the signatures are all the same, okay? The lines are still there. The hand is still there, okay? Very thick lines, and it dominantly comes into the due west side. Here. Okay, this is where our dominance is. This is where it goes from the due west side. One hand goes down to the east, southeast, and while the other one goes up to the northeast area. Okay. So as we start to bring the camera around just for a moment, towards the north, you can see the lines that it spills off just like it does from the west to the south. Southeast area. Here. Okay, they are everywhere. They're very dominant, guys. The ones that have paid attention to my videos and others around the world for the last couple years have to be starting to put this together. Love your family, guys. Love the time that you have. Embrace each moment as it was your last. Do not ever take something for granted. Embrace that. Enjoy the laughter and the love that people give. I want to show you this video. I think it's pretty incredible. It was shot during the evening time, just as the sun went down. And it shows a object, of course, within its hold. I times it by 10, that way you can get a gist of it yourself to see full movement of its debris and the light effect that it held within it. Very beautiful. I've only seen this a couple times, and I'm glad I could share it with you guys. This video was taken about a week ago, around the 1st of July, and you can see the misty characteristic that it leaves. And there are large objects that have large bands that hold them. This particular day was really the day it started to do that mist effect. As we face the south side, you can see large objects. Very large, guys. You can see again the misty characteristic that goes around the objects, as the objects, of course, being larger than the smaller ones, are being overtaken by the smaller ones, and of course the cloud. No matter what you may think, this is a real event. The governments around the world are prepping for this, and you need to prep as well. It's good to have a backup plan in case plan A don't work. I don't know how this is going to end up. It could be quick. I don't know. But soon the world will see these. This video was taken on the 9th of July while we were facing, of course, the west side. I could clearly make an object just underneath the sun, moving from the right to the left, of course, across the angel wing that I talk about. And as you look at the wing itself, as we pan from the west over towards the east overhead, you can see a very ashy looking planet. Okay, and this almost resembles a volcanic ash look. Now times this by 4, so I'm able to show you the traveling of these objects and how they move across this angel wing, this debris path. And you can also, as well as I pan back over towards the east, you can see very dark areas, and these are again massive objects. Now right away, as we look by the sun here, and this would be relatively where I first caught the object back in April 17th, 2013. You can see the just dominance and the change of color. But here is the important part. We can see the divide between the sun's light and another object's light just beneath it. You can see the bending that is being created on the bottom left of the sun. And the coloration is divided just a bit to take away the brightness, to see the reflective nature that is being created. On the right part of the screen, on the bottom, you can see a very solemn white goldish color. This is dividing again the light from the sun, the trails from the objects, creating the paths that they travel, and the massive object that is being swallowed by that brightness of the cloud. As we watch this object from the bottom of the sun move its way to the left part of the sun, you can see where the light is still divided as it moves. You can see the beautiful trails that are being created, very unique, and they all separate themselves. It's the left side of the sun towards the south, and it is still within the wing of its travel. Right here in the dark area, you can see that object that just created that light span. Within that, there are several of thousands, guys, of objects that are moving in their own pattern, and they'll continue to do so until they go back or they are influenced by another object. Now you'll see the object that is actually making itself visible with the starting of the angel wing itself. And now that light is not bent with it, you can see how dark and consumed that object seems to be. We have two important parts here as we zoom out. We have the right side, which is engulfing itself with a dark object, and we have a dark object on the lower left coming out of that multiple strands of debris. It's at the very beginning, starting to move from the sun, and it's going to wrap around towards the southeast and then keep going back around on its rotation. You can see the vortexual pattern that I speak about that is creating itself on the top of this brightly lit object. I'm noticing when the system is above us, it makes itself very known through its sheeting of white color. And this color a lot of the times resembles a volcanic ash again. But as we continue on with this video, the total recording time just looking towards the sun at these massive objects was in total about 45 minutes. But as I put new batteries and a memory card in my camera, I want to keep the chase continuing. So as I bring the camera up high to a 45, as I'm chasing this object through its colorational pattern, the sun's giving it as the sun's setting for the evening, the object creates a bluish tint to it, mixed with just a subtle gray. But as you can see, the vortexual pattern is still very much alive and has since, within the last hour, stretched itself significantly away from the larger object in question. But as we follow this, of course, through the evening for the next 20 minutes, the sun leaves it at a distance to where it becomes a shadow within our atmosphere as we see it. So it opens up new avenues of the system that is closer to us as the light's reflection leaves the areas that have been visible for that past hour. This video was taken on July 10th, and it's important to note that when you're looking at this again, the shadows that the objects play with one another are very distinctual. As you look at it, you can see the little areas within the cloud itself, okay? They are dark colored. Some of them are white, okay? But it's important to note what you are seeing here. And this is the movement of several objects around one large object. This is very real, guys. These are becoming very dominant in our skies. They look very mystical. When the light is able to bounce perfectly on it, it looks very rocky looking. I stood outside on my camera phone looking off towards the southeast, and I watched this formation do what it was doing for roughly about 15-20 minutes. Now the lighting aperture with the system, guys, now we are able to see it all the time. It's just how the system portrays itself to us as it's traveling through the sky, and the coloration that the system holds at that particular time. I want to thank you again for coming back to the channel and viewing my videos. Until next time, this has been Music Player 1979 coming from West Texas. Much love.